What's going on, everybody? I'm Gur Defense Mode.
I'm HLC Punk.
I'm my Moosey Fate. I
And-
said somebody else's name. I was like, you guys.
Great.
I'm not even myself.
And we're bad at intros.
Again, but still.
We're here to talk about a required game called Dark Souls. I hate you.
Sorry. It felt like some sort of safety seminar or
like,
something.
we're here to talk
AIDS
about
or yeah,
abortion
or we're doing an
Does
intervention.
it have to start with an A?
Ow.
Abstinence. Actually, you know, most of them do
He's
start with
starting
an
an
Anal rape.
A.
I was thinking like an intervention, like we're here to talk about your problem.
If you're from down south, it might be called intervention.
Oh God. Anyway, what are we here to talk about?
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. Gur.
Defense mode.
God.
Okay, so we're picking Dark Souls 1, the original,
The
let's be
original.
specific. Because it's one of those games that you're probably never going to beat, but it makes you play a game. It makes you try. It makes you get into mechanics of a game.
Games really became too straightforward over the past several years, and Dark Souls was one of those games that when it came out, some people scoffed at, didn't think much of it, and the people that got into it really got into it, and it's one of those things that I didn't think much about it when I first saw
I
it.
didn't either.
When I first played it, even when I first played it, I was not too sure about it, but it's one of those games that really rewards
Hard work.
Hard work. A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I never even played it until, like, shit, what was it, the first time we played it over here?
Yeah, and that was like after it was out for a year or so.
Yeah.
That was after 2 was out for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. And I don't usually like those kind of games at all. Like, I'd never play something like that. But it's something that draws you into the game of the thought, like, I know I can do this. It's just working at doing it. And it drives you nuts because it feels like everything's right there. Like, it's so tangible, but it's just like a little mistake that'll stop you from continuing.
Yeah, and it's like the whole game is nothing but a battle.
Yeah.
It's like every step you take, there's like a little couple areas here, but you gotta really fight to get to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the save points, you really have to really fucking work to like
Yeah.
get to the little campsites or whatever.
Yeah,
Actually be able to
it's
save
like
your game.
going campsite to campsite, and that's what it's about. And that sounds really boring or like really linear, really anything, but like getting there is no easy task.
Enemies are not fodder in this game. Any enemy could be your last, depending on how you approach the situation, and that's the weirdest thing. I can't name a game where basic enemies killed you so often.
Like even the fucking rats.
The
are
rats, yeah.
assholes.
Getting poisoned in that game is basically a death sentence. You can't do much about it.
Well, what I think is interesting is you have to treat every enemy like an enemy. It's not going through and hacking, slashing, anything. You literally have to individually take apart each enemy or group of enemies and fight
Yeah.
them.
And if you got like more than one type of enemy you're going after, you got to pay attention to what the other
Everything.
one's doing and everything else. You're constantly using your brain.
Yeah, you're checking every corner because you could be sitting there facing one enemy and then all of a sudden you're getting shot from behind with
Yeah.
a crossbow or bow and arrow.
Or
It's
somebody's throwing bombs at you.
yeah. If you even when you walk into like a boss fight, if you don't approach the boss fight in the right manner, you're finding yourself screwed. And then,
Yeah, a boss fight is a boss fight. Like,
and you lose progress by gaining the souls. That's your means of upgrading currency, everything. It's everything in that game. And when you die, you lose all that progress. But you have a chance to go and get all that back from where you died if
once.
you can make it back there. And if you can't, then it's gone forever.
Right.
And that's where the risk for the reward really comes in. It's, am I going to be a little greedy and go for this treasure chest or this item that's glistening over here, or am I going to ignore it because there could be a trap? And
Or I just need to get to my next camp. Like, I have all these souls, I can't bother with anything, I have to get to the next camp.
And every part of this game is satisfying. Like, you can go through most other games and just, like, take out a bunch of enemies, take over a base, do whatever, and it's just another thing you do. This game just, getting past a couple of enemies onto your next objective just makes you feel so fucking good, and like you're actually accomplishing something.
I'd say it has the opposite extreme satisfaction feeling of something like Dynasty Warriors, where you're covered in enemies and you're trying to take over an area, and it's the satisfaction of just like destroying everything, versus something like Dark Souls is that one enemy and how hard it is to get from a very small place to a next with very little like going on. It's that, oh, I can just slash through all this, but it's satisfying to have this entire group versus the little things that you do that are hard.
And it goes back to like probably one of the most basic principles about playing a game too, which is something that we take granted of nowadays, and that's patience.
Yeah.
When we look back at like Mario, like when you know a Mario level, you can speed run through it pretty quick. I mean, it's just one of those things. You know it, you can run through it pretty quick. Dark Souls does the same thing. It rewards your patience, and
Yeah, you can get a pattern.
yeah, it's very defensive, and you really want to take your time and figure out what an enemy can do, because 1 second an enemy could just be lunging at you normally, and then the next they just start flailing wildly, and you're caught in a combo that basically kills you, and you only have X amount of potions to bring yourself back to life.
Yeah, that's something different that not a lot of sort of adventure games do, which is you don't just pick up and hold a certain amount of potions. You literally only get, what, 5?
Yeah, about 5.
You get
Unless you
5,
upgrade.
and if you use them all, you have to wait till the next campfire, which no other action-adventure, as far as I know, that I've played, which, I mean, there's a possibility that something else does that, but it's not often that it would do that. It's a very unique trait of Dark Souls.
Oh yeah. It's got a really dark, unique art style to it. I mean, it really feels like everything
Apparently
is
the
hopeless.
story is awesome, but that's...
It's ambiguous. Very ambiguous. It rewards searching.
Right.
And I like that in a game.
It's like taking the game apart yourself.
You know, a really good story like The Last of Us, like that's awesome. But leaving a story ambiguous and kind of leaving you guessing what is actually going on
Evil
is...
Within? Oh.
Yeah, like
I hate that
actually a lot
thing.
like the Evil Within. Evil Within is another
Oh, man.
very ambiguous storyline.
Well, that comes from like things like Resident Evil, where you have to actually read a whole lot of stuff to understand the full extent of your story.
They give you the ending in Resident Evil, but I mean, if you want to solve it before you get to the end, yeah, it takes.
Or no little things. I mean, you don't know all the different experiments or like little things about the monsters and stuff. Like it answers a lot of questions if you were to actually read the Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Which I think is the difference.
I mean, I appreciate this game more than anything because I think this game probably brought me back to what I remember gaming being like. And
I'm kidding.
Well,
I
I
hate
mean-
Mario and stuff. Like I didn't ever have the patience. But to me, I mean, I understand because I did play it, and it does reward patience to me more than something like some of the old games.
Well, it's one of those things like, how good was Gears of War when it came out? Gears of War was a really heavy, game-focused, thing that was happening. And then
Right.
Gears of War 2 came out. And then
the
Gears of War
boss
2
battle
was...
so bad that you wanted to die.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We went through this giant chunk of time that was all these big cinematic boss fights, these big cinematic enemy encounters.
Which
that
isn't always bad,
stole
but...
the gameplay away from us, and this brought us back to, this is the gameplay, your story's whatever you make of it, there's a story in here, but you gotta search for it. Have at it, have fun.
No, yeah. They're starting to do that a lot more with games nowadays. They're actually kind of shying more away from like the narrative, cinematic, like really
Fox
story driven.
Well, you're
Games.
still gonna get like Uncharted, and you're still gonna, but we can get back to where not every game is just trying to be some big
Well,
cinematic
honestly, I
thing.
think that's why a lot of indie games are so popular, is because they are very root-based, and they're just do these puzzles and, enjoy this gameplay. It's not all these big production budgets on it. It's these people who wanted to make a game.
And this started out as a smaller company. Now they're gonna become AAA forever. Bloodborne was a huge success, and
Yeah.
that's another game
And a
for
great
another
game.
time. But I mean, big differences. People are gonna try to compare those games and say that it's basically the
They're
same
not the
thing,
same
just a game that's really hard. And
No.
there's really deep mechanics in Dark Souls that I think really, until you play it and you really feel how much armor affects your character, stamina, how much every weapon does just such minute amounts of damage that matter, and the fact that you find something that you can put on your sword just to make it do a little bit more damage for that boss fight, when you lose that, it's devastating, and you don't get that in a game where the smallest thing that you normally run through a game and you wouldn't even need all this stuff, it like matters so much having that
Right.
stuff. It's insane. Like,
See, now I don't like when people compare Bloodborne and Dark Souls too much either. Only because I've played both, and I've only played a little bit of Bloodborne, but I like Dark Souls better. I think they don't feel the same to me. They don't feel like the same game. They don't feel like the
Surprises
same
me.
approach.
it surprises me because Dark Souls is one of those games that rewards the defensive and not greedy. When you're greedy in Dark Souls, you die.
Yes.
In Bloodborne, if you're not just the greediest, most ruthless asshole on the planet, you die.
Mhm.
Like, you have to be up in it. And if you're not up in it, then...
Which
that's
usually
it.
I'd be totally into, but something about Dark Souls just
Probably the
makes you...
speed.
Yeah.
Bloodborne's really fast, and...
I enjoy the sit back and watch and learn from each enemy in Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's fun. Just figuring out their strategies and just how to go in, and it's just even sitting there watching what's going on before you even going into the fight is like a big part of it.
Yeah.
And another thing, like this game is just brutal from the beginning. Like even going through the tutorial, it just like throw you into a fucking big ass boss fight from like out of nowhere. And
let it kill you.
yeah, you pretty much almost die right there in the tutorial just going after that.
Then you get the achievement, Welcome to Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's the thing about, like, doing that, like I said, tactics and watching it, and like you had said, but it's the reward to it. It is like, hey, I can do this. You see it, you think about it, and you try it several times because it's tangible. You can do it, and that's the best feeling about it, is you're like, all I have to do is this, and then I can get it. And then if you get greedy, you gotta come back to that. You gotta come back to, all I have to do is this and I can get it.
And it's surprisingly not frustrating.
No, I a lot of people think it's frustrating and freak out because they'll never be able to beat it and stuff. You just gotta want it.
It's trial and error. You go and you figure it out, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, let me try it this way this time, and then you go into it, and once you do
Like,
it, you're
I
like,
almost
oh,
got
that's
it.
and when you do, it's just so great.
Right.
You just feel like, yeah, that's like the best thing I've done in like a week.
It probably took me a week to get there. No.
It's kind of like a runner's wall. Like, when I was playing Bloodborne, like, the big thing for me was at some point I hit a wall, and I was like, I think I just wasted my money because I don't think I can do this. And you push yourself past that point, or you go, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit of grinding and get myself maybe a little bit
Or I'm gonna
better.
take a little bit of break. Maybe I'm just getting frustrated. Like.
And then I'm going to go about this a little differently. When you jump into it, and when you finally, it clicks and it hits and it happens, you feel invincible. And that's what these games deliver. And I can't wait for Dark Souls 3, because I think Dark Souls is really one of those games that when the first one came out, it had a certain feel and speed to it. When the second one came out, it wasn't as polished. It didn't feel as good as one.
Yeah, I don't like Dark Souls.
And I think 3 is really going to find a better sense of speed and balance like the first one had.
And they're not gonna try to make it like Bloodborne or anything. They're gonna make it its own thing, which is Dark Souls.
You're going to feel that weight and all that when you have the armor and what weapon you're having. So
Yeah.
I think 3, if you missed 1, don't try to do 1 before you do 2. And then when 3 does come out, if you still haven't jumped on, 3 is the one you need to jump onto. Because I think they're going to do it.
Well, don't concrete that.
I'll concrete that. I guarantee it. It looks so smooth. No, 3 looks
If it's
really
awful,
smooth and
you
good.
didn't hear from us that it was gonna be good.
No, it's going to be good. It looks great. It looks just like how 1 was. It is completely reminiscent of 1. and I've never beat Dark Souls.
I've never beat Dark Souls.
I haven't even played much of Dark Souls.
I think we've all made it past the first actual boss.
Yeah, I've made it to I've beaten the gargoyles.
I'm not sure where I've made it past, but I know I've made it past the first actual boss.
It's one of those games I want to conquer, but there's so much out now
Yeah.
that I'm looking forward to the now, and I feel sad that I didn't jump on the bandwagon. I missed it. However,
Don't
3's
let
coming.
yourself have. They're having yourself. Don't miss it. Go get it.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to beat a game for it to be a required game either.
No.
It's you get
Just enjoy it. That's the whole point of it.
a required game is something you appreciate.
See, I've played it enough to know that it's that good of a game, and like the popularity of it, and just like
It's not hype.
yeah, it's
No, it's real.
It's real.
it's that
real.
good.
It is. Well, that was Dark Souls, and we hope you do try to check it out. And then also check us out online. We have a Twitter, we have Facebook, and our YouTube page. Like us, subscribe, and find us all over social media. You also have a Twitch account.
Yep, Gear Defense Mode, twitch.tv.
Yep.
I've been doing a lot of Mad Max lately because that game is ridiculously good, so.
Yes.
And you have your own YouTube
Yep,
account.
I got my own YouTube channel, HLC Punk. I just uploaded Witcher 3 compilation of bugs that I've encountered since I've been playing the game, so that's pretty interesting to watch.
It's hilarious. So, check us out. I'm my Moosey Fate.
I'm Gear Defense Mode.
I'm HLC Punk.
And we're brought to you by Ice House, the only beer that's rough enough to have for Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Maybe, probably. It'd probably go well.
It's about as hard to get down as Dark Souls.
I don't think it's that bad. It just kind of tastes like metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, coppery.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say copper.
Have you ever tasted Dark Souls? It's kind of like